Welcome to
5:15. I can't
Fire
sing.
15.
I'm not gonna do that.
You're not going to do that?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
Welcome to the next Fire 15 with
Doc,
and PJ.
the beautiful PJ,
Oh, you're
the
kind.
illustrious PJ,
I can't.
the gorgeous PJ.
Thanks, Doc. So we're super excited to come in for another week's conversation. Just 15 minutes, getting out of there. And
This is these chats are literally like lunch break chats.
Right.
There's no
Less than that, really.
There's no excuse for you not to be able to listen
get
to
it
this.
in.
Right. This is anyway.
Yes. So Doc and I pastor in Brandon, Mississippi.
That's right.
Sip, stand up. Oh, okay.
We didn't need all of that.
So we pastor New Vision Fellowship, Brandon, Mississippi. But wherever you are in the world, we hope that this 15-minute conversation is a blessing, is encouraging, is something, is giving something to you on this Friday.
Yeah. Hopefully it help you. Hopefully it
Yes.
help you. So what are we talking about today?
Today we are talking about healthy relationships.
Oh my Lord.
Hey, you remember that song? Never mind.
What song?
Nah, I probably
Go ahead,
shouldn't
do it. What song?
Why did I think of this song?
I don't know. When you
It-
just mentioned we pastors.
But it's not even talking about like a healthy part
Okay.
of
What is
relationships.
it talking about?
It's bad.
What is it?
I don't even know who sings it.
What's the song?
The chorus begins with separate.
Oh. That's Avant.
Is that a
That's Avant. I remember watching that video back in the day. I hadn't always been saved.
No.
But Avant.
But that's
yeah.
what'll happen if we don't have healthy relationships. What we gotta do.
Separate.
Talk about me and
We might
you.
have to edit that out. But anyway, that's just
What
who
we
are.
don't want is separation.
Yes,
We
yeah.
want to talk about healthy relationships and what it requires to have
Yep,
healthy
yep.
relationships.
You know, and the key, I think, to healthy relationships is to realize that healthy things live,
Come on.
living things grow,
Come on.
and growing things change.
Whoa, pause. Run that back.
So healthy things live,
Healthy things live.
living things grow,
Living things grow.
and growing things change.
And growing things change. Pause.
Wait.
Wait. Okay.
So if we're going to have healthy relationships, we have
Yes.
to make sure that each of those sections are modeled in our relationships.
Okay.
That they are living, they are growing, and they are changing.
Because if I'm alive
Yeah.
and I'm healthy, I should always be growing and evolving.
Yes.
So then if I get in a relationship with somebody, whether that's a friendship, whether
Right.
that's a marital relationship,
Right.
if there is not growth and progression over the course of the relationship, something's wrong.
Right. And I think that you have to realize too that, you know, as if healthy things live, living things grow, growing things change, that the nature of relationships will change. And I think a lot of times people get hung up on what the relationship used to be.
Wow.
And they hang on to what
That's
was
so good.
and can't become what is.
Wow.
And so you become in this stagnant place
Yeah.
of living, and you think you're healthy, but you're really just surviving.
You're not thriving.
And you're not thriving.
So then sometimes we can we then box people in based on what it was when we first began?
Absolutely. I think because we're human, I think there are some people that can't see you for what you're becoming because of what they saw you for what you were.
Wow, bars, pause. So wait,
Yeah.
so are we saying that sometimes stagnancy and unhealthiness in a relationship is contingent upon a person deciding who I once was
Yep.
and feeling as if that's who I should always be,
Yep.
and then they're not changing and growing
Right.
and evolving like I am, and so then there's friction.
Yeah, because I think, you know, what happens when you have unhealthy growth is, especially with two people, is that you're growing at a pace that's different from the other.
Yeah, that's
And
good.
so when one person is growing faster than the other,
Yeah.
there's going to be friction
Yeah.
because you're seeing things at a different perspective than the
Right.
other person may be seeing. You're processing things differently. And that's why a lot of, you know, if you think about,
That's really good.
you know, kids in school, they're in school with usually kids their own age
Mm-hmm.
because they have the same perspective. But if you put a 5-year-old in a group with a bunch of 10-year-olds, the 5-year-old is going to get left behind because the 10-year-olds, they're looking at things a different way.
Yeah.
It's the same thing in relationships. So
Yeah.
if you are growing at the same level and the same
That's
pace,
good.
then it's going to inevitably cause friction. It's going to happen.
So let's talk about this. I'm a person in a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk friendships
What kind
first.
of friendship? Okay.
And then we'll talk marriage.
Okay.
So I'm in a friendship. I've been friends with somebody for a really long time.
Mm-hmm.
Love them. We've grown up together, like in so many ways. We've matured together. We've seen each other grow. Maybe we've seen each other get married, get jobs, have failures and successes.
And that's special.
It is.
Yes.
So we have history.
Right.
We have, what do you call it? Relational equity.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So we have this, but I'm just noticing that it seems as if we're growing in opposite directions. Do you believe that people can grow in opposite directions?
No, I don't.
Okay.
No, I don't.
Whoa. Did y'all hear this,
No.
man?
I don't
So
think, because
what-
I'm a plant guy.
I knew it.
I'm a
I
plant
knew
guy.
the plants were going to come on the scene in
Yes,
some way.
I'm a plant guy. So they didn't give me a PhD in agriculture just because they were handing them out.
Okay.
But
So you've never seen plants grow in opposite directions, real live plants.
yes, I have.
So people can't be like plants.
Well, here's the thing: is the plants that are growing in opposite directions are attached to different things, and so they aren't growing apart. They're valuing something different.
Wow.
So if you see a tree
So
that's split in the
then-
middle,
Then something that
Then
is
something
pulling
is
the trees
pulling
in
it
opposite
that way.
directions. So more sunlight this direction or more.
Yeah.
Wait, so Paul, so people can grow in opposite directions, but it's only when they begin to value different things. Is that what you're saying?
So if you think about growth is a result of what you take in.
Okay. Yes.
So if what I'm taking in is different from
From
what
what
you're
you're
taking in, my growth is going to be different. So a lot of people think growth is the essential thing, but growth is a byproduct. If you take in the right stuff, you're going to grow.
Yeah. And if you don't,
You're going to grow,
wait.
just in the different direction.
So basically, what
'Cause
you're
so-
feeding
so-
yourself is going to grow you
So
in some way.
sometimes you can grow unhealthily,
Mm.
and
I mean-
sometimes you can grow in a healthy manner.
This is not funny, kind of a little bit. It just makes me think about people who maybe make, and I'm not perfect in this, but who may make unwise choices with eating habits.
Hmm.
And what they eat can make them grow.
Yeah,
And the way in which they grow and the areas in which they grow can speak to what they're eating.
exactly.
So they're growing in circumference
Right.
based on what they're
So-
putting on the inside of them.
So here's the thing: we can be the same weight, but be of different composition
True.
and makeup.
True.
So we can both weigh 180 pounds.
Yeah.
But one person 180 pounds could be muscle.
And it's based on what you're
It's
giving
based on-
yourself and feeding yourself to determine
Yes.
how your body grows.
That's
And
right.
that's good.
And so that's why growth is a byproduct. So when people we grew apart. No, you started taking in different things. Your
Aye, aye,
value
aye.
system just became
So
different.
this friend, right? This friend that you have loved
Yeah.
and grown with and matured with and successed and failed with, somebody in the situation, somebody in the relationship began to value different things.
began to eat different stuff.
Begin to pour in themselves in a different way. And then that byproduct, right, then caused a
Causes
separation for going in different directions.
Yeah.
So is it growing in different directions or going? The same thing?
Going. Because you're growing, but eventually your growing is going to lead to direction.
So people don't grow apart.
Now, people don't grow apart. That's just the easy way of
Okay,
saying. it's
Done with the
it's easy
friends.
way of
I want to
saying.
segue into this conversation with marriage. I've
okay.
heard people in marriage say, we just grew apart. How can you, in a marriage, a covenant before the Lord Jesus Christ and company, how can you grow apart inside of a marriage? Now, friendship is different. I'm not
Yeah.
with you all the
Yeah.
time. I do life with you, but not 24/7. I live with you in marriage.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
made a covenant. We
That's right.
love each other. It's it's different than like a platonic relationship. How then have you ever heard people say that?
Absolutely.
We just grew apart
Yeah.
and they
Yeah.
decided to go their separate ways.
Right. Right.
Separate. So how do people grow apart? Can people, using the same thought pattern, is it the same in marriage?
I think in marriage it's a little more intense because everything is magnified in marriage.
Agreed. Facts.
And I think when everything is magnified, you take the small symptoms of things and think that's the actual sickness.
Okay, elaborate.
So you can take us not being together on one accord
Okay.
as the issue, the sickness, the flu.
But that's just
But
a
that's just
symptom.
a symptom of not paying attention to each other.
Okay.
So when people say we've grown apart, at what point did you stop paying attention to the other person?
That's good. That's good.
Because
Or at what point did you begin to value what you had going as a priority over the needs of your spouse?
Yes.
Because in marriage, it's a sacrifice.
That's right.
It is dying to self, like literally. So at some point, the dying to self became secondary.
Yes.
And the desires and need for myself became primary. And when that happens, your spouse eventually is like, whoa, like what's happening here?
Because dying does not feel great.
Correct.
And so when you take the notion of, hey, I'm not dying to myself anymore, that means you're living for something. That could either be self-gratification. That could either be my kids. That could be my sanity. That could be anything. And so when you think about, hey, we're growing apart, because attention is a prerequisite for intention.
Wait. Say that again?
Attention is a prerequisite for intention. So if you're going
attention is a prerequisite for intention.
Yes. So if you're going to be intentional about something, you have to pay attention to it.
In order to even be able to have the capacity to be intentional, you got to start paying attention.
If you're going to put your pants on in the morning, you got to pay attention.
Yeah.
You need to know what you're doing.
Yeah. So in marriage and relationships,
relationships,
when attention begins to wane,
everything is magnified. When your attention begins to wane, that is when you can't be intentional about anything.
You just can't be.
It's impossible.
So then at that point, the attention begins to wane. The focus begins to shift from what I think my spouse may need to what I believe I need. And then at that point, in a similar sense of the whole growing in a different direction, my focus is shifted toward me. Or my focus is shifted toward my job. My focus is shifted toward my kids. My whatever the focus shifts toward.
Because it's not your focus shifting toward those things aren't bad.
Correct.
You
got to take care of your kids.
You got
maybe an aging parent.
Right. These things aren't bad things, but I think the problem is when these things get out of place. And so
it's the order.
It's the order.
It's the order.
And
God has an order.
And that's why when things get out of order with God, nothing can flow.
Yeah.
Nothing positive, at least.
Yeah. That's good. And I'm tempted to dig into the whole like having kids and where they fall, but we'll save that for another day.
It's a lunchtime talk. Let's talk.
But we would have to unpack that in a larger way, because some people feel like when I get married and I have kids, my kids become priority over my spouse.
Listen, let me tell you this. I want to look into the camera and say this.
Say it to the camera.
Children are a byproduct of covenant. They are. Children are not the covenant.
Because they gonna grow up and leave.
They will. Hopefully.
They're gonna grow up. Hopefully. They're gonna grow. They're gonna have their own spouses, their own families, and if we're not good, if we're not connected, we're gonna look up in 18 years and say, "Who are you?"
Right.
And I don't really know what you do or what are you into?
Because at a certain point, the kids don't need you to be married for them to be successful.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There are a bunch of people that have been extremely successful that were raised by single parents, they were raised by grandparents, they were raised by aunts and uncles. They can be successful, and so they aren't the key to making the marriage work. You have to make.
But if people let the kids be the glue,
if people let kids be the glue, then they will unglue you as well.
Yeah, they will. That's
and
good.
It's all about the attention.
Yeah, that's
what
good.
attention are you giving that, as opposed to healthy relationships? So no, I don't think people can grow apart. I think people start valuing different things. I think people start taking in different things.
Yeah. So then, talking to our peeps that are listening today, if people are saying, okay, how do I do inventory of my relationships to decide, are they healthy? Are they not? Are they toxic? Are they growing and changing? Does healthy things grow? The growing things, is this happening in my life? Or is it time to separate? And let me ask you this. Do you believe that people should just remain friends because of the amount of time and equity and, relational equity that you put in something? Like, I've been friends with this person since I was 12. Like, I can't walk away now. I don't want to start over fresh with new relationships or friendships. So what do I do? How do I decide whether or not my relationships are healthy? Second of all, like, if I decide they're not, then what do I do? Like, how do I navigate from that? What would you say?
I think if you think about if a relationship is healthy or not, you have to take inventory of how it's making you feel.
Yeah. I
mean, before you go to the doctor or not, you say, I'm not feeling well.
Yeah.
You have to determine how it's making you feel. And it's because since relationships are, intertwined emotionally. You have to make sure, say, am I in an emotionally healthy place?
That's right.
To assess this relationship.
So before I can even assess it, I got to make sure I'm emotionally healthy.
You got to start with yourself first.
So then we need to talk about a different day about how do you see yourself as healthy, because
That's true.
That you can't. So in other words, there wouldn't be any help or benefit to doing an assessment of a relationship if I'm not in a healthy place.
Right.
Because I can sabotage something.
Right.
Self-sabotage something or ruin something because of how I'm feeling in the moment,
Based on your
but I'm not in an
emotional
emotional healthy state.
But going back to your question, I do think you have to assess the relationship. How's that relationship making you feel? And assess the value of, because relationships, they can be transactional.
Yeah.
We want relationships to be relational.
Yes.
But I think you have to say, is this relationship draining me? Every time that I talk to this person, I'm drained.
When I hang up the phone, I'm tired. Yeah.
Or I'm short with my kids. I'm short with my spouse.
Yeah.
I can't focus. Then it probably, you probably need to reassess that relationship.
That's fair. And even I think it can be a hard conversation to think like, I've known this person for so long. Like we've navigated some really, like maybe I've lost a parent and they were there, or I've lost, some significant, or I gained this and they were there. If nobody else was there, they were there. And I think too, like we have to understand this. And I remember telling my mentees this. Some people in relationships are here for a reason, some for a season, and some for a lifetime. And I think we have to have the emotional maturity to be able to categorize people in that place. Yeah. And when the deadline has come, if the season is up, if the reason has passed, then I'm okay to release it, because anything overdone, overcooked, the overstay is not helpful. You don't want no burnt food.
That's right. And
overcooked.
I think that's period of, letting go doesn't have to be an extreme
drastic,
cutoff.
Yeah.
I think a mature and healthy way. I think a mature and healthy way of letting go is the level of access that they have to you.
Yes.
And they could never know that they don't have that amount of access.
I mean, depending on the person.
But, you were here for a season and you got to go. No, I mean, it's just that level of access.
So instead of me talking to you 17 times a day, maybe I'm checking in once. Hey, you're good?
Yeah, just, things of that nature. But I think...
But I think we have to have wisdom. And a really good book, just so you know, if you guys want to want to dig more into it, is Relational Intelligence by Darius Daniels.
Yes.
So good. But he talks about how, when is it appropriate to have a conversation? When is it appropriate to just kind of pivot? And then how do you assess the situation for that? Because some people, to your point, it doesn't require a conversation.
Yeah,
it's just a mental note and then a shift in your life.
Yeah.
But some people got to sit down and be like, just so you know.
Yep.
So just asking the Lord, that's what you have to do, is ask the Lord for wisdom.
Absolutely.
And then deciding how to do it from there. So
because I think, and I know we're coming up on time, but I want to end with this, is that because relationships are the most consequential area of your life outside of accepting Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Because the people that are with you, we don't have to do that.
We have to.
No, we don't.
Oh,
the people that are with you can either propel you, or they can put you in prison, literally and figuratively.
Yeah.
And so I think,
right.
I think that you have to be able to assess those relationships, because life is all about relationships.
Yeah.
God sent His Son so that we can have a relationship with Him.
That's right.
And we can't do God's kingdom move at the speed of relationships.
Yes, it does.
And I think that if we are going to get life right, we got to get relationships right.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. Well, this was fun.
Fine. My Lord.
Healthy relationships.
That's right. Got to be healthy. Let's commit to being healthy.
Yes.
Commit to being healthy.
In every area of life. That's God's will for us.
It is.
I believe John 10:10, when it talks about the thief comes to steal, kill, and destroy, but God has come to give us life, and life more abundant, or life to the full.
Yep.
I believe that it's concerning every area. Mentally,
area.
emotionally, financially, relationally, spiritually.
Yeah. Every area.
So,
listen.
all right, guys.
Join us next time. Hope this was good. Hope this blessed you. If it did, share it with somebody.
Yes.
Share it with your peeps.
Yes. Okay, bye.